Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Good Saturday morning, DFW. We've got a jam-packed show today. We're going to be talking about everything from Mother's Day's gifts, do's and don'ts, our Heard It on the Grapevine segment, what's going on in Grapevine, Texas these days. But we're going to start our segment with our show with the Dallas Holocausr Museum. It's been here for decades now, but the many North Texans have never paid a visit. My first guest is Charlotte Decoster. She is the Assistant Director of Education. Charlotte, thanks for joining the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thank you for inviting me this morning.
Well, we were talking off the air, and I was fascinated by your backstory. So you've really been a student of the Holocaust for years.
Yes, I guess it was bred into me. I was born and raised in Europe, and my 4 grandparents survived World War II, and that always sparked my interest a little bit. And when I came to the United States as a college student, it kind of got me driving and interested in becoming a historian and studying the Holocaust.
Now, had you visited the Dallas Holocaust Museum, or how did they find you? How did you find them?
Yes, I had. As a student, I visited the Dallas Holocaust Museum to explore one of many museums in the world on the Holocaust that I had visited. And it was kind of a partnership that grew out of that interest in me in exploring a different career beyond academics and taking a chance on that, and then needing somebody at that point to step into the role for education coordinator at that point.
Now, what is it like? I mean, this is your passion. This is something that you've been so curious about your whole life. What is it like immersing yourself so it's your day-to-day job? Is that tough or is it rewarding?
It's both. It's very tough on times when you have to fully immerse yourself in the horrors, the sadness, the trauma of the Holocaust. When we work on survivor testimonies day in, day out, listening to some of the horrible facts that come out of the Holocaust, it can be very depressing. It can be traumatic, and sometimes I think for all of our staff. But then on the other hand, we have these inspiring stories. We do get to work with the survivors, and their perseverance, their hope. There's nothing more inspiring. And what I call it the light bulb effect. When students come to the museum and they understand the impact of the Holocaust, the lessons that we can learn from it, that's just, they always laugh with me. I call it the ping effect, and that is why I work there.
And I think you're so blessed to be able to experience their stories, and because we're losing survivors by the day now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Our survivor community is dwindling, but I think they know that. They're very aware of that, and they are so active here in the DFW Metroplex. We're so grateful for that, and we have survivor speakers at our museum. Almost every day if you come visit our museum, there's going to be a survivor speaker there. They talk to thousands of students each year. It's their story, just knowing that these are the last few years that they will be able to do this. We just had Yom HaShoah on Thursday, and again, they were all there praying together, remembering together. And I think that is important, is that right now is the time to learn. Right now is to learn from them. And they want to make sure that everybody knows that.
My guest right now, Charlotte Decoster, she's with the Dallas Holocaust Museum. And for those who will be watching this on YouTube, your eyes are kind of watering. I mean, this is emotional for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I know all of these people personally. One of our survivors, actually, she lives right around the corner from here, Maggie First. She had to leave her whole life behind, was on the Kindertransport, a rescue mission from Germany to Britain, and she's like a grandmother to me. So my grandfather was a liberator of the camps. I think anybody who studies the Holocaust at some point is going to find a personal connection to it in their life.
And do you have school groups come through? What ages will come through?
We start at 5th grade and above. 5th grade, it's a little bit more focused guiding because it is an emotional topic. And then we go all the way through senior groups from retirement communities that come and visit us. We have about 36,000 students come through our museum each year, which is huge for our small facility. And we hope to build upon that. We have an increase every year of student groups, so we're very proud of that.
It must really make history come alive for these students. I mean, you're reading a textbook, you just really can't grasp the enormity of the Holocaust, can you?
Yes, and that is so important. Not only bring history alive, but to understand the facts of the Holocaust, and then second is to learn the lessons. In our museum, we carry these upstander bracelets. You'll see the word upstander everywhere. We want to highlight some of the bad behavior, but we want to highlight positive human behavior too. And our goal is really to change human behavior in those students, that when they're faced with prejudice, discrimination, and hatred, that they act, be it to protect themselves from it or to protect others from it, and not just to stand by as so many did during the Holocaust. And I think that's the impact. We're not just a history museum. We're a human behavior museum as well. That is the difference.
I never thought about that. It does have tremendous applications to bullying and all this meanness that we see on Facebook.
So much. And it goes beyond bullying, right? We talk to students in the Dallas community that come from immense poverty. A survivor was talking to a student about his perseverance coming to the United States with nothing. And the student came to me afterwards and said, my father is an alcoholic. My mother works 3 jobs. And most of the time, I'm all by myself. It's really hard at school. I don't always get dinner. But then I hear Max Glauben, a survivor from the Warsaw Ghetto, orphan, 4 concentration camps. And he came here, built a life, has a family. Now he's retired and dedicates all of his time to the museum. If he can do that, I can do it too. And that's again, like I said earlier, that's why I work there.
Wow, you are such an inspiring guest. So talk about some of the features. I know that you have a boxcar there at the museum. Describe that and tell us the meaning.
Yes, again, our museum is so unique. It was founded by survivors, and they knew they needed a key artifact in our exhibit. Originally, when we were at the Jewish Community Center on North Haven, they already brought a boxcar from Belgium, which was about to be scrapped for metal. And the founders in the Dallas community brought this all the way through Galveston in the 80s, the very first boxcar to be placed in the museum, to Dallas, Texas, to go in the exhibit. And it moved with us then to downtown Dallas, where we are located now. And that boxcar, it is that symbol. It's the symbol of dehumanization during the Holocaust. It's the symbol of deportation, of so much pain and trauma. And I think that's why it's that key part in our exhibit, is that people can see, we are not in Europe, but they can still see these boxcars and ours right here, the first one in any museum, and understand that 100 people or more were stuffed in these cars with very little oxygen, no food, no water. And that is a prime example of how to show what the Nazis did.
Well, I imagine you probably see tears every single day, don't you?
We do, and we see every emotion, from laughter, love, so much love. I always say it's the strangest thing to be there and see love every day, because the students, they walk through the museum, they have tears, they are emotionally impacted. That their whole physical body, you can see it's impacting them. And then they meet the survivors. And then afterwards, the survivors are done, and then it's hugs and kisses and laugh and smiling. It's the opposite, right? So I can't say the range of emotions that are displayed at our museum.
Now, you have a special exhibit going on right now, the Anne Frank exhibit. To explain that.
Yes, we have a special exhibit called Anne Frank, A History for Today. It is from the Anne Frank Center, USA in New York. And it shows the timeline of the life of Anne Frank. And above it is a timeline of major events during the Holocaust. So it shows how the Holocaust impacted the Frank family's life. All the way from before the Holocaust, shows Otto Frank participating in World War I as a German officer. To the very end is the last person, image of the last person who talked to Anne at Bergen-Belsen concentration camp before she died there of typhus. And the whole story in between there, from her playing, going to school, to Kristallnacht, the attacks against the Jews in Germany. And so it really shows one unique feature that we added at our museum is we built our own hidden annex. And you can open up the bookcase as you would in Amsterdam and walk through it and walk into our annex.
Wow, that is really cool. How do you go about finding your new exhibits?
So our Senior Director of Education, Dr. Sarah Abosh, she surveys all year long. She is looking for exhibits. They come from all over the world. They come from Centropa, which is a European organization. They come from the United States. And, for example, our next exhibit is actually originally founded in Europe. It's called Survival in Sarajevo. And so we literally look all over the world for these exhibits, both on the Holocaust and on topics of discrimination and hatred.
Do you ever have anybody with a private collection or something that they found in their grandfather's attic and they want to give that to you?
Yes. Our archivist, Felicia Williamson, is always on the lookout for donors. And we just got a huge donation from the Monuments Men, which some of you might be familiar with. Wonderful George Clooney movie. And the founder of Monuments Men, he donated some artifacts to us. But we have continuously from survivor families, from people in the community. A great example is the swastikas out there. Many of those swastikas were liberated and made it back to the United States, and that's a thing we take in because we don't want them to end up on eBay for hate groups to use. But many other artifacts, please contact us, and we'll meet with you wherever you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and take them in.
So let's talk about some upcoming exhibits and features that you have. I made notes to myself off of your website, the Survivor Series, the Upstander Speaker Series, the Human Rights Panel. What are some things that people can look forward to?
Yes, so every year we have our Upstander Speaker Series, which highlights people who have helped our local community in relations to human rights or the fight against hatred and discrimination. Earlier, we highlighted the Human Rights Initiative in North Texas, which does wonderful asylum work here in North Texas. We'd have General Romeo Dallaire on. Our next speaker is on May 19th is Ambassador Finchy, who runs an organization called La Benevolencia, who during the siege of Sarajevo and the Bosnian War brought Muslims, Christians together in a synagogue and created this help organization to help and protect. And so it's kind of the combining of these three religions is very unique, and it was driven by the Jewish community in Sarajevo. And so he's going to come talk about that. His work's still today there that he does. So I really recommend go to our website because we have one after the other 3 times a year upstander speakers that bring so much and so much to learn from.
So, and tell us about the hours, and is there a cost of admission and school groups, and how does that work?
Yes, there is a cost of admission that supports our museum, our operations, and everything. Those information is available on our website, DallasHolocaustMuseum.org. Our opening hours are every week during the weekday from 9 to 5, and on the weekends from 11 to 5. And it's just I invite everybody to come visit us and tour the exhibit.
And give us the website one more time.
DallasHolocaustMuseum.org.
Wow, you are such an amazing guest. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll come back.
Today.
When we come back on the Jeff Crilley Show, heard it on the Grapevine. There's a cool festival coming up. We like to have Grapevine, Texas come back from time to time, and that's coming up right next.
You're listening to The Jeff Crilley Show on Talk Radio 1190.